WMR. I think we can safely say that Signs holds up fantastically. Don't you think so? What a great way to see it. And of course, we're here to do a little Q&A with the man who's behind all of this and is a genius. And I love his films. He's been on the show a number of times. And we do a total movie geek out whenever he comes on. So without further ado, let's welcome the creator, the writer, the director of Signs, Mr. M. Night Shyamalan. It's your hand. And I think later on at the end of the Q&A, we'll take just a couple of questions from the audience, so you may want to think about some good questions. So, have you watched the movie recently?
You know, I showed this movie to my daughters on their 12th birthday. We have it all kind of laid out.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm anal about that stuff.
Are you a doting father when it comes to what your kids? I mean, because they're a little bit older. So, I mean, did you have to assess a time when they'd be able to take this, because it could freak something?
Yeah, well, my kids are kind of very scare ready.
Okay.
They love it, so they watch. At 10, and this might sound bad, at 10 they watch Sixth Sense, and then...
Oh, okay. No.
And then every year they watch the next film that I made, so it's 10, 6, okay. 11 is Unbreakable, 12 is Signs.
There you go.
It just goes like that until they catch up.
I can speak with a little bit of experiences, because when I was very young, when my parents took me to see Deliverance, and I thought, wow, kayaking looks awesome. I have to ask you, watching the movie and watching everything as it is, and the message, and it's just beautiful. People ask me, do you think it's terrifying? I actually think it's touching. I think it's sweet. And at the core of it comes a question that you wrote in the movie, and I want to ask you: are you a man who sees signs and thinks the greater possibility is there, or are you a man who says we're all alone and on our own?
I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the signs guy.
Is there a point, because as the writer of the movie, were you in a place at one time where you might have had this question?
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the movies, they're all kind of like a journal of where I was, you know, emotionally, or something that I was grappling with. You know, I think, you know, at that time, I guess I was 31.
Okay.
When I made this, there was a sense of like questioning the bigger picture of things. And does this all have any meaning? I think I've been, you know, I had a bunch of success recently. I went around the world and met a lot of people, and you just
in your early 30s, it's kind of an early time to have that life.
Yeah, with that life question. Yeah. Also, I felt a little bit of responsibility. I guess this is just how I felt in the moment. Was, you know, Unbreakable, I had really really went for every edgy instinct that I possibly had. I went for it. And I remember when it opened, and Unbreakable kind of, you know, at that time I didn't understand the fame, or didn't understand the expectations from people. I just thought I could be like a painter and paint this, and whatever I want, I can paint that, and I put it up on the wall, and whatever I want.
Okay.
Have no connection to the other, but that's actually not the case, right? Because of the expectations coming in.
Right.
I didn't understand all of that at that point, so I put out Unbreakable. And I remember there's this weird moment, I call it the Denny's moment, because it happened at Denny's.
Denny's? Movies over Miami?
Yeah, got it. Back in those days, my wife and I, we go in like 1 a.m. and have the scramble.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. And I remember right after Unbreakable opened, and there was this weird reaction to the movie, you know, like mainstream and, you know, kind of the edgier group loved it, went crazy.
Sure.
And then the mainstream were like, what did we see? And I remember going to Denny's and looking around at this moment, and there was like a family that were eating, they weren't talking to each other, and there was a couple that were, you know, they were just sitting.
Hold the wire on the mic, I think if I can cut the signal off, just hold it over the wire.
They were sitting together and not talking to each other, and I was just looking at the people in the restaurant, and I was saying, wow, I didn't make a movie for these people that they want something that they can relate to, that they can connect to. And I remember distinctly at that moment, I called Disney up, the chairman at that point, and I said, I had this epiphany. I said, the next one, you know, I'm going to make for that group. You know, I know I can talk to them. I know. I was making a movie just for me with Unbreakable. and signs there's something that I can connect with everybody. And so I was constantly had that in my head when I was making it.
Because the Mel Gibson character, Graham, he's dealing with a wealth of heavy issues, you know. And as I said when we talked this morning, and this is what I think great storytellers such as yourself do, and great speculative fiction, you could extract the science fiction element from it, and it's a great story about a man trying to find his faith and a family trying to find its way again. But would you, if you were to liken yourself at that point in the writing process, were you closest to Graham or?
Yeah, they're all a bit of me.
A bit of you?
Yeah, they're all a bit of me.
What would the percentage be? If you break it down.
I'm 80% Bo.
Okay, you just like to hydrate a lot. Yeah.
And there's a few things I was thinking about when I was driving up here for the movie. I was thinking, when I remember it distinctly, I said, it's like pregnancy. I was like, this child, I'm not gonna do this. I'm only gonna be pregnant when I'm happy with happy.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do only happy things. So literally, if I was in a bad mood, I had a bad day, I wasn't gonna write this movie.
Okay.
I was like, I'm not doing any writing. It was a weird thing. I'd never done it before. I was like, only when I'm in a good spirit am I gonna sit down and go back to that. So every time I touched this movie, which I called Signs even from the beginning, it would be filled with a kind of a positivity, because Unbreakable was about me feeling gray and burdened, and so I wanted to have a positivity to it. And it's funny, it has a flavor of light from it.
It does, and it's also and I think it also comes from your ability to gently weave in humor and truth to the family experience, to the sticking the finger out in the air,
exactly.
and all those things that resonate as real.
Well, why can't they get dates?
Exactly. All of those little exchanges, you know, that really speak to a family. I think that helps temper it. Was there a point at which Signs might have been more Independence Day and less emotional, or was it always the emotional?
Yeah, it was always Night of the Living Dead for me.
Okay.
It was always like in a house.
Isolated, yeah. And you said the birds as well.
The birds and Night of the Living Dead. When we made the movie, I screened Jaws and the birds for the crew just to keep in the headspace.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right. What about the original? Did you see the Night of the Living Dead in its original incarnation? I mean,
yes.
In the movies and everything. Okay. Well, what about that spoke to you? Because the whole house experience is the same.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess Night of the Living Dead had this incredible eerie tension, and because of the minimalist way they shot it, I could use my imagination and fill in everything. And at the end, and in that movie, it becomes kind of almost like a racial statement or something.
Yeah.
It's really, and I was struck by how I was starting to think at the last second, and in the right, like, went from entertainment to something deeper.
Right.
And I always remember that feeling I had, and I was like, oh, I want to do something like that.
You know, I was in the remake that Tom Savini directed. I'm one of the 3 or 4 flesh-eating zombies in that movie, and they dressed me as a professional golfer. I don't know why, but it just, in that movie, God bless him, he's a genius, but it lost what you're talking about that made the original so good. It lost that element.
Yeah, it's like, I think a lot of times, the things that make the movies stand out a lot is being in Philly, and I'm outside the system. I don't really develop the movies in the studio system at all, so it is very pure. This one was the fastest to write, fastest to make. It was kind of just a fun ride, and I was just in that headspace where I'm just not going to I don't know. I wish I could get back there easily, but it was like a nothing could get me down kind of headspace. In fact, we had almost the entire cast change 2 weeks after the movie. Did you know that?
I did. How important? I have a feeling that you were very hands-on in the casting process, or am I incorrect? Because your ability to find. I mean, you have Abigail.
Yeah. So I was just telling the story outside, which was, so I'm in this restaurant 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. And
I'm talking with somebody, and this beautiful woman comes up and says hi, and I'm like, hey, how are you? And she goes, hi. And I go, hey. It's the second time this happened, that's the other time. And I'm like, she's like, it's me. And I'm like, yeah. She says, it's Abigail.
Yeah.
And she's like a beautiful woman now. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting old. It's fine.
You just found your next process of writing, the advancing age of Night Shyamalan.
Exactly.
You talk about doing the process of writing, and is it, if you're on a tear, do you just cruise along, or do you have to be very disciplined? And as you said, with Signs, you walked away if it wasn't positive. I mean, because I would, to me, that would seem to be an incredibly daunting thing to do, to develop a story, especially stories as intricate as yours are.
Well, it depends on how insecure or secure you are. Like at that time, at that moment, I felt very secure for some reason.
That you could walk away and then come back when it was right.
Well, the insecurity is, hey, can you just read this?
Right.
And just tell me what you think. Just
Right,
read it.
right.
But before I'm ready for anybody to read it, you know, and that's, for me, not for anybody else, that's the sign that I'm going down the wrong path when I need affirmation. I need somebody to tell me, you're good.
Yeah.
Keep going, there's something in there, kind of thing.
Who gets those pages?
Well, I'm saying I try not to.
Oh, you try not to,
Yes,
okay.
I try
When you
not to.
have to, who gets them?
Oh my God, you know, there is no person like
Yeah,
that.
there is no, yeah.
It's really about what's wrong. Like, calm down, tell me, you know, like thinking through. My skill set, it needs to be self-analysis to go, what is the issue? What is it you want it to be? All that stuff. And with this one kind of, once I figured out that it's about the guy's faith, and then at the end of this movie he gets to regain his faith in some manner by how he saves his family from aliens. Like that.
Right.
That when I understood that paradigm, I remember sitting in actually with my dad's house. I was sitting there going, oh, you know, that's gonna work.
Do you have an actual point of like, did you actually have a point of epiphany where you said,
Yeah.
and it was it? And
Yeah, when you-
do you feel like,
Yeah.
do you
gosh,
fist pump when it happens?
you
or?
just feel so at peace.
Yeah.
Because in a way you know you won before you've begun. And the reverse is also true. Even if everything looks right, if you don't have that feeling, you're always nervous. You're always tight for the whole process.
I've wondered throughout your career, your films, and it seemed earlier on in the films there was sort of a more of an attention to like an O. Henry, plot thing at the end that would kick in. This seemed very organic, and also I think with Graham's wife has one of the most unique deaths on screen. Now I grew up in New York.
Yes.
I would hear stories periodically of people getting caught between the subway platforms.
That's exactly where it came from.
Is that where it came from?
Yeah, I was
okay.
in the subway, and a person got, sliced in half in the subway. They were alive.
So, but technically they're dead. But
they're
still
just being held together, and they said the police were calling their family. I remember I was in, NYU or something, and it just stuck in my head, obviously.
It's a wild sequence. So Philly and Newtown and Bucks County and all of this. How, if you were to label the locations as characters, how important are they to, for example, the success of Signs? And did you find that farm as it is with the house, or?
I've come to believe there's kind of two things that I try to do. Most filmmakers or storytellers fall into one of two categories. They're kind of entertainers, or they do very personal films. And the personal films, give them a chance to do something that I call the permanence of spirit, like the thing that you can tell it's me. You can feel what I was feeling. Really, we almost don't even do the interview because they could probably tell you exactly what I was feeling.
Right.
As a human being, and what I was struggling with, and all the different things, even the things that are not literalized in the movie. And I try to do both as much as I can, and that's always gotten me in trouble at the time. Someone said not picking one camp or the other.
Okay.
Not picking, Pirates of the Caribbean or a Wes Anderson movie.
Right.
But trying to put them together.
How strong was the? In other words, was there a lot of? Has there been a lot of influence or a lot of effort exerted over you to try to take these projects, and how? I mean, because your first one out of the gate was a big one, so that I assume that eased things up. But I mean, just in shooting films in this area, did you catch a lot of guff for wanting to stay here and do the films here?
I didn't get too much of that.
Because you were sort of ahead of the curve. Now there's a lot of production and stuff taking place here.
I didn't actually get too much. It's in the contract. So since I sell the screenplays, when I sell them, we actually obviously get a certain price. But then the very nice thing is shooting in Philadelphia is on the thing. If you want to deal with that, then don't deal with that.
Okay, all right. So that's not been an issue. But the question of the farm, was that in fact that house intact? Was that built?
No, we built that.
You built that house?
We built that on a, gosh, somebody remember where we built that? We built that on a field at a university, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like a university that studies crops. It was, what is it? There it is.
Okay, there you go.
They let us build a whole house there, so we.
And so, do you like, for example, location, the pizza place?
Yeah.
And that was that one of those make your own?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was like a take it home kind of mom thing.
Do you understand that concept where you go and buy the dough? And it's like I'm gonna halfway get takeout pizza, right? It's like. Here, McDonald's handing you raw patties and here. You go do it. You know, I never understood that. But I was watching, I guess, some director talking about how they like to go into actual pre-existing stores and work within the confines, almost like a Das Boot
yeah.
or something.
And, you know, look, I since I storyboard every shot, you know, it really. Sometimes I can't find a house that I imagine the bedroom here and I imagine the living and then they pull the TV out from under the stairs.
Right.
And it's like that. So I imagine that way. If we can't find a location that I can kind of amend the shots for, then we try to build them, because ultimately, for me, the shots are as much as critical as the screenplay to give me that feeling there.
I love that, because I also think you're, and I think you guys would probably agree with this. I mean, you're a masterful director, but you don't get cute. You know what I'm saying? You don't like. There's a director I love, Franklin J. Schaff, who directed Planet of the Apes and Patton, and you know everything's framed perfectly. It looks fantastic, but you can still feel him. But the director's not getting in the way of it. Was that always your style, or did you have to grow into it?
No, just a sense of, that this doesn't feel right. When I'm looking at something that bothers me, move it more, that's not the right lens,
Right.
Try a 25, no, that's not right, 21 millimeter, okay, now move her, okay. And it's unconscious feeling about it. I remember we were shooting this, I used a new editor, and she called me up and she was like, oh my God, you forgot to do, it's the sofa scene with Mel and Joaquin.
Women.
Right.
And that had to do, I assume you were looking to cast the aliens.
Yes.
You ended up going CGI in the...
Well, it was for that as well.
Okay.
It was just for movement.
Okay.
To get all the movement
I got you.
Of how they can light and the agility, and I can tell them what their character is and how they should move.
Were you a fan of CGI, or did it take a while to come to terms with it?
It took me a while to understand the art of it, and actually it's this movie that I'm working on now, After Earth, is the first time I can really tell you that I've used it as storytelling, and I really feel complete control over it. Because I'm not a techie guy at all. I'm not like, Spielberg or Jackson. These guys inherently think like that. I'm very minimalist, and this is the first time I get it, and I think you'll notice it when you see After Earth, I finally understand how to do subtlety in it.
Okay, give the thumbs up. Do we want to take a couple? Are we doing well?
Yeah, we're doing well.
We have 3 questions. Let me ask a question concerning After Earth. We were talking about the new camera that you're using, and the Sony super badass camera, and with the CGI and everything. But I sense that you probably like to look for a combination of organic, like if you could build it and have it real, you'll choose to do that.
Yeah.
And are you saying on this you found a happy coexistence for both?
On After Earth you're talking about? Yeah, I'm actually saying that the CGI has risen to the place that you can actually do photo-real stuff, and it's staggering what can be done now at a lot of vendors. They've gotten to that level now, so it's much more, like back then we were like breaking ground trying to figure out how to do this. I couldn't actually do what I wanted. What I wrote we couldn't do, which was that you can't see the creature. It was like the boy was being held in the room, like floating. The way I wrote it, I said the boy's floating in the room, and you can only tell like an octopus that the thing is standing there. If you just you just a little bit of a thing, you can see that it's texture.
Like you ever see that TED footage of the octopus that's changing?
Yes,
every
exactly.
minute?
In fact, that's the footage that I used
Okay,
to try to get it, but at that time the technology wasn't there. The technology's there now.
Oh, cool, awesome.
Yeah.
And a quick question about, you doing a TV show? Is that still going? It's
Yeah,
a,
it is, yeah.
and what is, what
It's
is
a
the
whole new
project?
world for me. We'll see.
Okay. You're just covering your ass.
Yeah, I'm just
It's a
trying.
big experiment. Would you happen to know a local and prolific screenwriter who wants to pitch M. Night Shyamalan?
I wanted to know how local and prolific writers get to pitch their ideas. And my answer always to that is, I'm the writer, so we're in competition, actually.
There you go. Yeah, you're barking up the wrong tree. Yeah.
No, I generally do my stuff, as you know. I've generated most of my stuff there.
There you go. But keep going. Keep swinging, right? Yes, I mean, you know what a mover shaker. I know Germans from the original Survivors. Knight's the biggest. I see out there you.
I'm a film student at Drexel, so I'm kind of wondering what your biggest tip for film students and filmmakers.
You write?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Well, that's where the power is, actually. Because then you own something that theoretically somebody will want, badly. And I think this is an artist advice. It is just to be as honest as you can about yourself when you write. It's not trying to aspire to be, like I love Quentin Tarantino's dialogue, but I can't try to write that. If I try to be that, he is that. That's who he is. And he's just him, and and the more you can be just exactly yourself. So that's everything. That's the things you're embarrassed about. That's everything. All the flaws, which you're calling flaws, all the quirky things, the things that make you stick out, and you can't have a conversation. You always feel different. Whatever that is, perfect. Describe the dinner that way, through those eyes. The specificity of that, of your particular taste, is how you pop. That's how you pop. Trying to be part of the group is that's the depth.
I'll also give a little recommendation. Follow Knight on Twitter, because you will get a wild peek into the creative process. That it's kind of a courageous thing to do, because you've conveyed points at which you were conflicted, and through the whole process. And that's a peek we don't usually get to see into the process of movie making while you're making the movie. That's usually DVD extras or something. So
yeah, I mean, I try. It's kind of freeing to be truly honest all the time. I'm fucking confused. I don't know. I don't believe in myself at all today. Those kind of feelings are natural, and then the epiphany of something, or to understand, something breaks through, and to understand that. So that, and when I watch documentaries on other artists, it always makes me feel so, on the same fight as them, and encouraged to keep going and inspired. And by the way, I saw a documentary, it was amazing. The Artist is Present. Have you guys seen this thing?
I've heard it mentioned, but
it's so good. So, I was crying watching this documentary on a performance artist. And again, so you'll find it again. It's about purity, just being as exactly who you are. That's an analyzed life, right? That we just keep on thinking about it. Why do I sound so fake when I talk to that person? Why do I get in the same rhythm when I'm talking to my mom and dad? I know I'm smarter than that, and yet I'm 16 again, And what is it about those things that kick in about, that reminds me of when I was insecure, this or that, or our ego, and what is that all about? I was having a lunch with a famous painter from Pennsylvania, actually, and we were talking about this, about how you got to find the balance of doing what's important to us, and then doing it for an audience. Because if you don't do it for an audience part, there's no limitations. There's no actual real self-analysis, because you start to feel your ego kicks in and goes, oh, well, I don't need to, because I'm doing it. It's that balancing act of being an individual and part of the community. That balancing act is what we strive for. Don't give up either. You don't just sell out to be I just want to be a part of the group, right? But that balancing act is, if you can teeter right on that, that's when everyone goes, we're so inspired when we see somebody that's, effortlessly themselves and a part of the community.
Very cool. We'll do 2 more questions, all right?
I'll stay.
You, sir, right there?
As the master of suspense of our generation, and as an actor, I'm proud to say that the first thing I worked on was a Water Nation Soldier on the last Airbender. Yeah, but watching you work with children, as I watched on the last Airbender, and younger actors, how are you able to garner their trust and develop them as you do the character drawing? And not only actors and science, but each of art. And how are you able to develop them and also gain the trust of such high A-list actors that you work with?
I basically, it's actually, I treat them exactly the same, no condescension on any level, and I don't say like about, I can't work with a kid actor that I have to trick and say, oh, pretend you have to go to the bathroom so it looks like you're scared, that's how they sometimes get performances, and I don't do that. I talk about the kid like, I don't know, a random thing would be, Abigail, for example, at the dinner table scene. So the Last Supper scene. So I sat with her and I said, your dad believes this is the last time you will ever eat together. Okay, that's what he's saying, feeling, and you don't want to eat anymore. Because when you realize this, you don't want to eat anymore. This is the last time you're going to sit with your brother and your dad. If your dad believes it, it must be true. And does that make sense to you? Why he's so upset? That kind of thing. And she's like, she's getting tears. No, why? And he goes, that's what he believes. He believes this is the last night. He's given up. And you've never seen your dad give it up. Like that, those kind of, I try to talk in words that, she's 5. Of course, she's a precocious 5, but that kind of, but when I see it click, and it clicks for actors at different moments, you roll camera. That's it. Everyone, God. That's it. That's the only reason we're here, is for that look in their eyes, and I go, stop, 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 put the lights down, that's it, turn on the camera, go, 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 go. And everybody hears the urgency, and we go, we turn on. And she shot first, and that scene, and she killed it, And then I go, cut, man. It was 2 takes, because she's, 5, and I just was like, that's amazing. And then I was like, who's next? And all the guys were like, we're not. Now Joaquin were like looking around.
How many times do you end up, while you're filming, saying, this is going to be the take I'm going to use, only to get into editing and say, wait, this is the one, another one?
It's pretty close, but it's not always, for sure, because you need flow. Like I went through and I changed a lot of Mel's takes.
Really?
During the movie, after I saw the movie, to arc him a little bit. He's such an entertainer, Mel, and I get so, as everybody does, get so charmed by him on screen that you don't realize the moments that he's betraying your character. Like he might not, Graham's character may not have that kind of anger or that kind of humor, and it seems inappropriate, but Mel does, and so it's fascinating to watch. And I kept, saying to Mel, you have to limit your palate, because your palate is preternatural. It's not what a normal person has. So I don't understand this priest if he's this loss of faith and has all these superstar attributes.
Sure.
I don't. You limit him, limit his vocabulary, and speak only in that chosen set of colors. That's it. And so I kept on having to grab it. And then in editing, I had to do it again, like grab it and limit it, because I was not being as disciplined with him as I should have. And it kind of interesting, because I'm making a movie now with Will Smith, and superstars are superstars for a reason. They'll come and sit down and they'll say, I can have a glass of water, and we'll all laugh and charm and be like, oh.
Oh, you're just the best. You're so awesome.
And I have to get rid of all of that.
He drinks just like we do.
And just like with this movie with Will, I'm not letting him do anything. Basically, it's just this, with just your eyes at the end of the movie. That's all you have left. And that's a process of editing, like carving down. But on the day, it's a long-winded answer to your thing. A lot of the Mel's takes changed.
Well, I don't. You can just, use semaphore on the end. But I remember, I think it was Gina Davis.